Hi, it's Vicky here and welcome back to another Mixed Media Tuesday. Today I'm going to play with a really fun die from the latest release by Art by Marlene for Studio Light, and this is the Zig-Zag journal that gives you 5 different tags that are connected in between. So once you cut it out, you can fold it like an accordion and it creates a mini zigzag journal for you. The fun part is that in this product you get a ton of other little dies that you can use to spice up your project. So you will find many hole reinforcers, you will find toppers for the top, you will find pockets and tags, lots of other elements like banners to cut out, and many of them I will be using for today's project. To cut out my mini journal, I decided to go with watercolor paper, and I'm using watercolor paper from a pad that I have by Art by Marlene, and the die fits perfectly on top of that. So if you notice, this is a long die, way longer than the standard die cutting machine that we usually have. If you have a spellbinder machine or a C6 machine with a standard platform, this is quite longer, but that's not a problem at all. You can just cut out a part of it and then slide it to cut out the other half. And really for that part you can use pattern paper if you like, you can use colored cardstock if you want, even black one, depending on what you have on your mind to create with. So here is what you get. There are scoring lines for you, so all you have to do is to just fold them up and down to create your mini zigzag journal. Super fun, and you can decorate it front and back if you like. Now let's take a look at some of the dies. There is this one that you can use to cut out little panels that have stitching all around. You can decorate them and then just stick them on top of your tags, so this is an option. You will find a bunch of banners at the bottom that fit perfectly on the width of this tag. Here's another fun one. I will be using it today, but I will change my mind. You will see what I mean later on in the video. Clouds, little borders, flags. This is another fun die that you can use to create a flap if you want, and you can use this as your connector. You can have your extra flaps coming from the top, from the bottom, or even from the sides, and I'm sure there are other ways that you can use this little die too. So here are some other fun elements that you can place around the holes, many different elements that you can use there, even cereals, hearts, super fun. I even found a little flower that fits on the hole as well. So for my background I decided to go with ink blending, but since I used thick watercolor paper at the back, I can definitely work with acrylics. I could have used sprays if I wanted to. I decided to go with dye inks and blending tools just because I have more control on where I am applying the color. And I'm going for kind of a rainbow order background. I'm starting from blue, green, and I will move to yellows, orange, reds, as well as a little pink at the end. And now that I'm thinking about it, I wasn't able to add into the mix some purple. Anyway, as you can see, I'm making sure that on each and every one of those individual tags, I end up with at least 2 colors on top of the tag, just to make it look more interesting. I don't want to have way too many colors, since I don't want each of them to be super busy at the background. That's how I usually work with. But I want to definitely have a couple of colors there. Now I moved on to stamping. For that I'm using one of my background stamps from my own collection. This is the alphabet and numbers stamp set, very versatile, and I'm going to stamp all over the background using black dye ink. At this stage I don't know which clusters I'm going to create for each one of those tags, so I'm just playing with the background, making sure that I have something interesting there. I did add some water splatters that you didn't see me do, but here I'm adding some white ink. This is calligraphy ink, but you can do that with white acrylic paint. And I'm really happy with how this looks at the moment. I'm not going to play with any stencils for this background. And let's zoom in so you can see what I have up to now. At this stage, if you like, you can repeat the same process at the back. But since this is going to turn my video into being super long, I decided to work only on the front. You can definitely do that on the back as well. Now, one thing that you can do is to work on each tag individually, as if they are not connected with each other, or you can use them as double pages or even start a scene from start to finish. It's really up to you. I'm going to kind of work separately, but at the end, since they will all have the same look and feel, even if you open it up completely, it is going to look just fine. So to create my little pages, I'm going to use the Golden Oldie booklet. This is a big booklet with tons of elements that you can pop out. All have the quirky designs by Art by Marlene. You can just pop out elements and create clusters for your tags. And I did use that many times, and I'm going to use it here once again. They are so much fun to play with. So everything you see me use today is from this booklet. I will be sticking everything down with my matte glue just because I know that if it goes outside of the elements, it's not going to show at all. So for the first tag I used the girl. She is one of my favorites and I did use her a lot in other elements as well. I did stick a little heart on her chest as well as gave her a crown. And now I did cut out this reinforcer for the top out of black cardstock, and I'm just going to stick it there. Now I'm going to repeat the same process for all the other tags using the same reinforcer, but you can definitely switch things up to make it look more fun, since it gives you in the set so many different options. And I'm going to go ahead and create all the clusters for every one of the tags, just sticking everything down without doing any doodling or any other finishing touches, as I'm leaving all the steps for the end. So here I did go with one of the flowers, and I did cut out those clouds using one of the dies included in the set. I am going to use my scissors to cut off the excess, and you don't have to throw it away. You can use it on the next tag if you want to have a continuous image, or you can use it on another tag, which I'm going to do later on. I did add the black tab at the top, and then I also glued a little blue bird on top of the clouds. Moving on to the third one, and for this one I chose to go with a seahorse. I'm going to stick that down with my glue again. I will use my scissors to chop off the excess, and this is super simple and quick to do. Just to embellish it, I'm going to use 3 bubbles that I popped off from the booklet again. And you can definitely go as complicated as you like. You can stamp images, color them, cut them out and stick them here to create your little scenes and clusters. It really depends on how much time you want to spend. Now for the fourth one, I'm going to have some fun with one of the ties that creates pockets, just so I can show you how you can use it. There is also a little tag that fits inside. So I'm going to use pattern paper to cut out pockets, and on this same booklet that I pop out all the images, the last pages are pattern papers. This is the one that I'm going to use. I chose the one with the purples and the blues just because I haven't used any purple on my background, and it's going to pop out nicely. So here I have 2 pockets and 2 tags. Now for one pocket I'm going to use it upside down. This way I will have a different orientation just for some variation on my page. I'm going to fold the flaps, and with my bone folder I will reinforce that fold. And these are the 3 flaps that you are supposed to add your glue. You can even go with very thin double-sided tape if you like. I just went with glue on the flaps since it is way quicker and easier. Now you can play with the pockets, decide where you want them to go. I decided to overlap them, so one on top of the other. But you can definitely spread them around and fit even more pockets in one tag if you want. So these are my pockets, one on top of the other, and I'm going to add the tags inside so you can see exactly where they are. Super fun, and now we can decorate the tags. Now for the tags I'm going to do some stamping, and I'm keeping them black and white since I find that they pop nicely over those other colors that I have on my background. So again, I'm doing stamping by using the same stamps that I used on the background, just to have the same little detail repeating on all the elements to bring everything together. But of course, for these tags you can definitely go with pattern paper or color them. Just be creative and do whatever you like. I chose to go with this fun owl for my first little tag. I'm just sticking him on top, and I'm going to chop off the excess so that he fits inside one of the pockets. And I absolutely love how when you place the pocket you can still see his eyes through that. I find it super fun. Anyway, for the second one I'm just going to go with a couple of leaves. And later on I will add some quotes too, but I will do that as the final step. So for now they go inside the pocket, and I want the owl to be at the front so that you can definitely see the eyes looking at you. I find it so funny. And as I was playing with the bunch of dies that were in the set, I did cut out this banner, so I'm just going to decorate the front of the pocket with that. And let's move on to the fifth and last tag for today. I did use another die that gives you this little border that I cut out from black, and I'm going to stick it on top of white just to have a contrast. Now the idea was to have kind of a border, but you will see that at the end of the video I will change my mind. In any case, for now we'll just go with this idea. So I'm going to stick it down, and then on top I will add three houses that I have popped up, just creating a little city there. Now if you pop up all those images, some of them will have kind of a border. In some cases I don't bother, in other cases I cut them off if they are quite easy to do so. That's the case with this house. So here I have three houses, and I do end up sticking down the rest of the cloud that I have chopped off from the second tag that I did. So again I'm going to use my scissors to cut off the excess of the cloud, and I'm ready with the clusters. Although I really don't like the ground under the houses, I will change it later on. So now it's time for some doodling. I'm using a thin black brush marker, and I'm going to add some sketchy lines in some areas wherever I feel like I need to help the image pop even more. You don't have to do that on all the images, just where you feel like it needs to. I'm also going to add some doodling and details on the white cloud, just because it looks so clean depending on everything else that I have on the page. That's why I'm drawing some doodling there, just to bring everything together. And of course, once I'm happy with the black details, I'm going to grab my white gel pen and then add some white highlights here and there, just like I always do. All these black and white sketchy lines are adding the same detail on all the elements throughout the mini journal, so it makes the whole project coherent. And as I say, it brings everything together. I will add those white highlights on all the cutouts, and every time I have elements with eyes like the girl, the seahorse, the owl, I always like to add a dot of white on their eyes. I feel like it brings them to life. And if you follow my videos for quite some time, you definitely know what the next step is. I'm going to add some white splatters, and I will make sure that I add them on all the elements, even on the mini tags. So lately I am using calligraphy ink since I find it super handy just to dip my brush in there. And you can control your splatters if you use a very thin brush like I'm doing here. If you want bigger and more random splatters, you can definitely go with a bigger brush. And this is me changing my mind about the ground of the houses. I'll just pop out another element and use it at the bottom. I felt like this one was too black and white for the whole composition. It was too contrasting. So I'm just going to peel it off and stick on top the other element, and no one will ever know. So of course I need to repeat some of the steps on top of that die cut that I have just stuck down to make sure that it has the same look and feel with the rest of them. So again, I'm going with my black marker, with my white gel pen, and I'm going to add a couple of splatters on top of that as well. Last but not least, I'm going to add some quotes on every one of the tags as well as on the mini tags. For that I'm using sticker quotes that I have from previous collections by Art by Marlene. I have used many of them, but I haven't used them all. So the fun part about the collections by Art by Marlene is that you can easily combine every new collection with the ones that you already have in your stash. So I'm going to stick them down and I'll show you at the end what I went with. For now, I'm going to show you how I finished off the whole mini journal. So I did decorate the front tabs, but I didn't do anything at the back. For the back, I just kept everything black and white, just did some stamping, repeating the same idea with the front, but you can definitely go ahead and decorate the back as well. I just didn't want to end up with a 30 minutes video. So now I'm going to create a little closure. You can definitely thread some string at the top through the holes to keep it together and tie a knot there. I decided to use some ribbon. I just used double-sided tape to secure it at the back of the front tab, and then on top I'm going to place black cardstock to cover up the adhesive and make sure that the ribbon stays put. So when you tie the knot, I love that you actually cover up your eyes and you have to untie the bow to check out the front cover. So for this I went with Shine. This is the second one, See the Beauty Around You. Inspire for my little seahorse. This is the one with the mini tags. For the owl I went with Be Bold, and here I went with Bloom. And then finally for the houses, Love It Looks Good on You. So that was my fun project for today. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired. Just like always, you will find down below in the description area a list of all the supplies that I used. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll see you all next time.